people who keep your car running are disappearing, not retiring, not moving to better shops, leaving for good. And the reasons go deeper than anyone in the industry wants to admit. This is the story of how a craft built on skill, precision, and decades of earned knowledge got systematically dismantled by investors who never turned a wrench, manufacturers who chose cost over lives. In 1948, a man named Soichiro Honda incorporated a company in Japan with a simple obsession: build machines that perform. He wasn't a businessman, he was an engineer, a mechanic, someone who had worked with his hands since he was a teenager apprenticing in Tokyo. In 1949, the first product his company produced was a motorcycle. He named it the Dream. The name wasn't marketing, it was a statement of intent. Honda built his company around one principle: the driver should feel the road. The machine should respond. The connection between human and vehicle should be real and direct. The philosophy showed up in the hardware. From the early 1980s through the 1990s, Honda's mainstream cars, the Civic, the Accord, the Prelude, and the Integra, ran four-wheel double wishbone suspension, 2 control arms per corner, superior camber geometry, more responsive under load, more adjustable, tighter, more alive. These weren't exotic sports cars. They were economy cars, but they handled like they had a purpose. Mechanics who worked on them understood the engineering. They weren't just replacing parts, they were servicing a system built with intention. Back then, a shop had a structure too. Lube technicians handled oil changes, tire rotations, and basic maintenance. That work fed the master technicians, the certified, experienced professionals who handled complex diagnostics, engine work, transmission, electrical systems, just all of it. The lube tech learned from the master tech. The master tech trained the next generation. It was a pipeline, and it worked. And cars came with options. You wanted air conditioning, you added it. Power windows, optional. Sunroof, your call. You paid for what you wanted, nothing more. A base model Civic could be shipped stripped down, bare bones, exactly what the customer asked for. That world didn't last. Mr. Honda passed away on August 5th, 1991. Within a decade, the philosophy he built started showing up differently in the product. For the 2001 model year, Honda introduced a 7th generation Civic. For the first time in the modern Civic's history, it no longer had double wishbone suspension up front. It had McPherson struts. The reason was documented: cost and space. McPherson struts are simpler, cheaper to manufacture, and take up less room in the wheel well, leaving more interior space. What they gave up was geometry, camber control under load, the feel. The Civic became more comfortable, more forgiving, easier to live with. People started saying Hondas rode like Cadillacs. For a car that was built to make you feel the road, that was not a compliment. The transmissions followed the same direction. CVTs, continuously variable transmissions, prioritized fuel economy and smoothness over driver engagement. The connection kept getting softer, and the options model disappeared. Manufacturers stopped shipping stripped-down base models to dealerships because the margin wasn't there. A bare-bones car crossing the country from Texas to Florida wasn't profitable enough per unit. So instead, cars came loaded. Features nobody asked for, bundled together, priced accordingly. Lane departure warnings, automatic emergency braking, ambient lighting packages, connectivity suites. Every feature a selling point. Every feature is also a failure point. And when those features fail, the wiring harnesses, the sensors, the modules, someone has to fix them. That someone is a technician. And the flat rate time to fix them often doesn't match the actual labor involved. One example, certain Honda Pilot models had a known issue where faulty wiring in the interior harness caused crackling and popping through the speakers. The fix required removing the entire interior harness. The flat rate labor time set by Honda didn't reflect the real hours required. The technician absorbed the difference. Honda's design decision created the cost, and the tech paid for it with their time. That's the system working exactly as designed. In the late 1990s, Japanese airbag manufacturer Takata developed an inflator using ammonium nitrate as the primary propellant. It was cheaper than alternatives, and it worked under the right conditions. The problem was what happened over time in the wrong conditions. Ammonium nitrate is chemically unstable when exposed to heat and humidity. Without a desiccant, a chemical drying agent, moisture from the environment seeps into the inflator. The propellant degrades. When the airbag deploys, the degraded propellant burns too fast, overpressurizes the metal inflator housing, and the housing shatters. Not an airbag deploying, metal fragmentation device detonating inside your dashboard. Shrapnel into the cabin, at your face, at your neck. The first deaths potentially linked to Takata inflators occurred as early as 2006. Honda has been issuing recalls on affected vehicles since 2008. A national recall covering all driver's side Takata airbags was not issued by the NHTSA until November 8, 2014. That is a minimum 6 years of expanding recalls before a national mandate. 11 years after the first reported fatality. The inflators that were replaced in the early recall cycles were replaced with the same exact design. Ammonium nitrate propellant, same vulnerability to moisture and heat. In 2019, Honda recalled over 1.1 million vehicles because replacement inflators, meant to fix the original recall, had ruptured due to excessive moisture present at the Takata manufacturing facility in Mexico. They replaced a defective part with another defective part, at scale. Takata filed for bankruptcy in 2017. By the time the full scope was understood, the recall covered more than 37 million vehicles in the United States alone, across 19 automakers, not just Honda. Every manufacturer that used Takata inflators was affected. The confirmed US death toll, 27 people. Injuries, more than 400. Worldwide deaths, at least 23 confirmed by NHTSA at one point in the investigation, with the number continuing to climb through 2022. General Motors had been offered Takata's cheaper airbags back in the 90s, 30% cheaper than their existing supplier, Autoliv. GM's own scientists studied the design, identified the ammonium nitrate risk. GM passed. The companies that chose the cheaper option did so with margin calculations. The people who died did so in low-speed crashes, in parking lots, on surface streets, in cars they trusted had been fixed. The lesson the industry took from Takata was not that cost-cutting has consequences. The lessons was the recalls are a line item. For most of automotive history, dealerships were owned and operated by people who understood the business from the inside. Founders who came up through sales, service, or manufacturing. People with skin in the game beyond a quarterly return. That started changing as publicly traded dealership groups began aggressive acquisition campaigns. 6 companies, AutoNation, Lithium Motors, Group 1 Automotive, Sonic Automotive, Penske Automotive, and the Asbury Automotive Group, have been systematically buying up dealerships across the country. In 2021 alone, Lithium Motors acquired dealerships representing $6.9 billion in expected annualized revenues. Group 1 completed transactions representing $2.5 billion in acquired revenues the same year. In July 2025, Asbury acquired the Herb Chambers Companies, 33 dealerships, 52 franchises, 3 collision centers, for $1.45 billion. That's not organic growth. This is consolidation. And consolidation comes with a mandate: grow. Every year, year over year, without exception. The growth has to come from somewhere. It comes from service department margins, from labor rates, from upsells, from squeezing every billable hour out of every bay. The old model for a successful shop was consistency. Hit your numbers, adjust for inflation, have a bad year occasionally, that's business. Come back next year, build something that lasts. The investor model doesn't work that way. There is no tolerance for flat years. The number has to go up every quarter, every year, until it doesn't, and then the capital moves somewhere else. Cars now come with features that generate data those same investors can monetize. A Mozilla Foundation review found that 84% of cars they evaluated share personal data with brokers and service providers. 76% of manufacturers claim the right to sell your data. Location history, driving behavior, speed, braking, which songs you play, where you go, and how often. You didn't buy a car. You bought a data collection device that also drives. And every connected feature, every sensor, every module, every system is a future repair, a future warranty claim, a future flat rate dispute between a technician and a manufacturer over how long the job actually takes. Parts support is also shrinking. Manufacturers discontinue components faster than they used to. Cars that cost 1/3 of what a home costs now. Effectively disposable within 15 years because the part ecosystem dries up. The system is designed to keep selling you the next thing, not to support what you already bought. Here's a fact that should concern every person who drives a car. In the United States, there is no federal requirement for a mechanic to hold any license or certification to work on your vehicle. None. A person can walk into a shop tomorrow with 0 training, 0 experience, and 0 credentials, and legally start working on the brakes of your car that you drive every day. Compare that to a plumber. A licensed plumber in most states requires years of apprenticeship, a state exam, and carries liability insurance. An electrician, the same. HVAC technician, the same. These trades are regulated because the consequences of doing them wrong are serious. A brake job done wrong can kill someone. Wheels have come off vehicles due to improper installation. People have died. And yet, no universal licensing standard. The National Institute for Automotive Service Excellence, ASE, offers voluntary certification. It's respected, it's meaningful, it's not required by law in most of the country. Michigan is one of the few states with a formal mechanic certification requirement. Almost everywhere else, it's optional. This gap has consequences, because when you have no mandatory credential floor, labor becomes a cost variable. You can hire someone with 2 years of experience instead of 20. You can pay them less. You can call them a technician and put them in a bay. And that's exactly what's happening. The lube technician role, once an entry point that fed the Master Tech pipeline, has expanded. Upsells that used to be Master Tech work, brake jobs, axle replacement, timing belt services, fluid flushes, they're now being performed by less experienced technicians because the shop's certified Master Techs are buried in warranty work and manufacturer defect repairs. Work that pays poorly under flat rate and can't be delegated to someone without manufacturer authorization. So what's the point of being a Master Technician? You spent years getting certified. You invested in training. You understand systems at a level most people never will. And you're spending your days doing warranty repairs at manufacturer set flat rate times that don't reflect actual labor hours, while someone with a fraction of your experience makes the shop money on jobs that used to be yours. The numbers confirm what technicians already know. The annual turnover rate for experienced service technicians was 27.2% in 2016, according to NADA data. A majority of technicians surveyed said they would not recommend the job to a friend. Most who leave don't go to competing dealerships. They leave the industry entirely. TechForce Foundation projected a shortage of 642,000 automotive, diesel, and collision technicians by 2024. The current median annual wage for an automotive service technician, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is $49,670. For a job with no licensing protection, mandatory continuing education costs, physical demands, and responsibility for public safety, the experienced technicians who are leaving are not going back. They're opening mobile repair operations, starting independent shops, moving into custom and specialty work, pivoting to other industries entirely. And when they leave, the knowledge goes with them. The apprenticeship model only works when there is someone to apprentice under. When your most experienced teacher has 2 more years in the trade than you do, the knowledge transfer fails. The next generation learns less, the quality drops, and the people paying for repairs are the ones who feel it. We are watching it happen in real time. If you drive a car, this affects you directly. When you take your vehicle in for service, ask who is working on it. Ask about their certifications. You have the right to know. When you're buying a car, consider this. Every technology feature added to a vehicle is future repair. Every sensor, every driver assist system, every connected service. These are not free. You will pay for them again when they fail. The vehicles with the simplest technology have the fewest failure points and the most straightforward repair paths. Dealerships stopped offering stripped-down base model configurations not because nobody wanted them, but because loading a vehicle with features generates more margin per unit. You're being upsold by a system optimized for their profit, not your reliability. The automotive industry is not broken by accident. It was built this way by people who understood what a skilled trade with no licensing requirement, no wage floor protection, and no apprenticeship mandate is a trade that can be exploited. The technicians figured that out. That's why they're leaving, and that's why you need someone who actually knows what they're doing to work on your vehicle. There are fewer of them every year. This isn't a new story. The pattern has been documented for thousands of years. A business model built on infinite growth inside a finite industry is not sustainable. The people working inside it understood that long before people running it did. 1 Timothy 6:10 does not say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money is. That distinction matters. The automotive industry was not damaged by commerce. It was damaged by the elevation of the growth number above everything else, above the craftsman, above the customer, above accountability. The structure produces the outcome, and the structure here was never designed with the technician in mind. History confirms a pattern. Rome expanded until it could no longer sustain itself. Babylon centralized control until the weight of the system brought it down from within. These are not ancient cautionary tales without modern relevance. These are patterns, and patterns repeat. The technicians walking out are not simply leaving a job, they're choosing not to participate in something they can clearly see is broken. That takes clarity, and in some cases, it takes real courage. If this gave you something to think about, share it with someone who drives a car. No fluff, no fairy tales, it's just how it works. Stay grounded, and God bless.